Hi, this is Clint, the proprietor of all my pain and suffering. Is that a bit hyperbolic? Yes, but I'm preparing you for the tone of the video very early on. On the 4th of February, Pwinisher started his biannual 3D render challenge. Now this is the second challenge I personally am entering. The last one I entered was moving meditations, and I learned a lot because that project was basically drag and drop. But this one, I put it in my mind that I'd make everything from scratch, and I didn't learn about the challenge until a day later. And by the time I already started saying, okay, let me put something down, people were making incredible renders by day 3, and I was already having performance anxiety. But I told myself to buckle down and just put a box just floating in a scene. Just start. Let's get rid of the fear. If you want to see a full breakdown of my whole process, you can go to their Discord, and in the Endless Works in Progress section, just type hoverboard. So I start out with just putting a box and testing out the 2D toon-like art style that I wanted to emulate, because God forbid I go near cycles and again. Then I decided to do a little animation with the box and just get the timing down, because first and foremost I wanted to get blocking out of the way. Again, a lesson I learned from the last project was just throwing shit at the wall is not really good. Nail down the key elements and then refine. After that, it was to put a character in the scene and make sure it actually fits. It did, and I have been laughing ever since at this. This is beautiful. After that, it's the environment, blocking out the scene again and just making sure everything fits and it's cohesive. And the art style I was trying to go for to see if it would work, the line arts and everything, I just put in the basic landscape, you know, the little option, landscape. I just randomized it a bit, stretched it up, stretched it out, call it a day. I put a plane in the distance. The clouds were spears that I went into sculpt mode and hacked the bottom off of, went into edit mode, duplicated the mesh, and just dragged it a little bit to the left, called it a day. To get that tunnel effect for the mountain, I just put in a cylinder, added a boolean modifier, duplicated the cylinders like mesh, and created a tunnel. Now the sun was an issue for me at the start because I wanted to have this, I don't know if it's called a parallax effect, where something is so far away but it's so big it doesn't move. You know, when you're traveling between states with your family, and I used to notice that, oh, we've been traveling for 7 hours and the sun is still in the same spot. As a kid, it just made me realize, oh, planet Earth is hella big. So I wanted that effect. Now to do that in Blender, I could have maybe had the spear be closer to the canvas, maybe had it bigger and keyed it in. Nope. I went into my scene and made the biggest spear I have ever made. Also, whenever I open these challenge render files, whatever, I always have a hard time pivoting around the scene because it's so fucking big. But I did that and I made some fences. I wasn't sure on the fences, but I wanted to nail down the color and lighting. So I dropped in a sun lamp, gave it a little bit of color, and angled it to where I wanted the whole sunset feel. Just getting the lighting down. When you get a lot of things down at the start, you can spend so much time on the irrelevant things later down the line. That is foreshadowing. So once I got the sun down, I did not touch it again. Next, I went back in and refined the fence. I have so many different fences. I even deleted a bunch of them. It was so weird because I was trying to create this effect where you're at the cliff edge and you're going in like a circle, but I just couldn't get that down. But so I just did this glass kind of fence that you could see through because futuristic, why not? I modeled basic lamps and I followed this tutorial. This whole project is just tutorial galore. You're gonna see all the tutorials I followed. So I followed this tutorial to get the lamps, and then once I got the environment down, I said, okay, fine, let's get rid of this horrifying base mesh and the pizza box and put something custom, you know? So I modeled the hoverboard and I absolutely hated it. I fucking despised it at first. I just wanted to throw it in the trash, and I said, okay, no, let's calm down, let's make it thinner. I had some reference photos, but I just couldn't get them right, and I thought, okay, maybe this is a chunky boy, and you know, we like them big, we like them husky, but in this case it was a little too big. So I went back in and I redid it, added more bells and whistles, and I loved it. I loved the new hoverboard I did, and it's just another thing where I just need to trust the process So I did that and I animated the hoverboard, just copied the whatever of the box to the new hoverboard and all its little bits and pieces. Could I have joined it into one mesh? Probably, but I like keeping things separate in case I need to go back and iterate on things. So I did that, and God damn it, I still remember how excited I felt. And then it was time for me to arrange my folders because things were getting a little messy. I later came back and deleted the dud folder, but I arranged everything, and it just speeds up your workflow. I'm not trying to sound all Puritan, like, we need to have everything arranged. You should see my room right now. But keeping everything organized and knowing exactly where things are when there's a problem, you can almost pinpoint where it is. So most of my problems were technical and not understanding how certain things worked. But when there was something wrong in my scene, I knew exactly where that motherfucker was. Then it was time to add color and animate the character, and that's when I wanted to quit. I wanted to drop this and just walk away because I said, oh my god, at this point I've spent a week, 2 weeks I think, a week and a half, and I just didn't like anything at all. I didn't like the animation, I didn't like the colors, the whole thing seemed bland and meh, and I said no. Oh god, let's just walk away. I still haven't invested enough time in this, you know, I can still walk away with my dignity intact, but I thought, okay, let me just sit down and write everything I didn't like. As opposed to writing everything I did like, oh my god, always looking at the negative. I liked the clouds and I loved the background that I did. This tutorial. And the ocean I did was also good. Also this tutorial. Did you know there's an ocean modifier in Blender? You can just click it and you have an ocean. That's amazing. All I had to do was shade it, and the line art was also kind of bothering me because it puts a line art on the sun. I'm using the freestyle line art at first. The line art was a bit of a process. And I sat down and I said, okay, ocean is going at Mach speed. I don't like the transparency and some things. The animation is god awful. I'm just reading off my ramblings in the Discord when I was doing this. Oh my god, I was such a panicked hoe. So I thought, okay, let's just take a break, let's rest, and then we can come back to this. I think this was around the time I went and did another project just to clear my head and just to get things, just know I can do something till the end, maybe nail down a style or something or some colors, and it really helped. So I came back to this with full force and I said, okay, let's add colors. Because they were so muted that I thought, okay, I'm going for this really anime, really pastel color, and I use Clint's challenges as a way to refine skills that I otherwise wouldn't have because I don't like touching Blender because it really intimidates me, and I've always wanted to have this aesthetic, cartoony, toony style or whatever, so this was just my chance. So I went in and just broke everything, just made everything so much brighter and lighter and just kept tweaking the colors, and I came out with this. Basically a sun exploding. I liked it. I added a little bit of foliage to the mountains, gave it a little bit of green, added the transparency, added colors to a lot of things, even the hoverboard. The only thing that wasn't at all touched was the character, which I really needed to do at this point, but I just kept procrastinating. I liked the mountains, but I didn't really like the foliage I had on the mountains because it kept triggering my trypophobia. But I followed this tutorial. So what do you expect? The colors and lighting was from this channel. I think this tutorial specifically, I was going for more of this. And then I thought, okay, I need to model the character to tie the whole thing together because I foolishly thought I was close to the finish line. So I went on Pinterest and got some references for some clothes, and then I went to the discussions because I'm in and out of the discussions tab, and I was told, hey, there's this thing called the graph editor. And I did not know genuine fear in this project till I looked at my graph editor for the hoverboard and I think my character animation, and I just said no. Just no, I'm not gonna bother. So I got rid of the foliage in the background because I really didn't like it. Hello? I think my cat is stuck in the ceiling again. God damn it.
A few moments later.
Le cat has been saved. Or more like they just got tired and jumped down. Okay, what was I talking about? Yeah, the foliage in the background. I got rid of it because, again, triggering me for whatever reason, and it just wasn't looking right. Like, it was fine, but it wasn't great. So I made these trees and I really like them. They're so vibrant, they're so colorful. I followed this tutorial. This whole project is just tutorials. So then after I followed the tutorial and I got the foliage down and I really liked it, I tweaked the colors again and just got everything to that bright and just, hey, how bright do you want this thing to be? And I went yes, because I just, oof. So I don't know, I think maybe I was tweaking the character animation at this point, maybe I didn't touch it, I don't remember. But then again in the discussions tab, I was told, hey, add a little camera shake to this. And I was like, no, we do not touch the camera. That is the #1 rule of this contest. But people were like, no, it adds pizzazz. So I bent to peer pressure and I added camera shake, and I immediately regretted everything. But then I went in and I halved everything. I think I turned everything down to like 0.1% or something, and that looked really good. Like, I really liked it. But before we see how that turned out, I went in and finally gave the bitch some clothes. Like, I said, okay, I'm tired of seeing this naked husk of an alien, and I don't know why I kept it till the final moment. Maybe because I thought, oh, character animation and clothing was gonna be so difficult, because this was the 3rd time I've ever done character animation. This is the 1st time I've done it, this is the 2nd time I've done it, and this is the third time. The 2nd time was even interrupted by this project, so I was so adverse to just touching the character for whatever reason. But I modeled her and did everything in like an hour and a half. I was done so quickly. I was surprised. I was like, oh my god, I need to give myself a challenge. I'm giving her braids. So I went in and I did braids, and it was a miserable experience. I hated it so much. So I got that down, and I thought, what if I turned on the lights for the grease pencil layer, and I got 2 different vibes for the scene. I could have this bright in your face scene, or I could have this kind of autumn scene, but I was told, yeah, the bright one was better, and I also liked the bright one more. Now the thing with this whole grease pencil whatever was I couldn't continue using the free style line art layer because it made my computer crash 3 times. I got the blue screen of death like twice or once, so I was just like, no, the scene is too heavy, it's too dense, and I can't use this modifier or this tool anymore. And I've always been afraid of grease pencil, and I started watching just Kevin Durams or something, can't remember his channel name. I kept watching his things back to back to back. I watched this video so many times to understand grease pencil and everything. So I did the trees in grease pencil, and I conquered a fear, which is something I really like about these challenges. I conquer a fear. The moving meditations one made me actually take up Blender, because before then I'd just been a tutorial hopper. I'd watch like hours and hours of tutorial and never do anything. The only thing I think I did was the donut tutorial, and then just didn't do anything again because I was afraid. But that one made me get comfortable with like Sketchfab and like animation and so many things. But again, it was just drag and drop. This one made me really go in and create things and model and texture and stuff like that, and I really appreciate these challenges for what they are. But let's not get mushy. This is the 2nd time I'm recording this audio, and I said I'd keep it concise. The last version was 30 minutes. So I nailed down the foliage. I was going for the bright colors. It's bright. That's what we're gonna go for. I rendered out this scene with the less camera shake and everything, I think the character, and just kind of trying to see where I'm at in the project. And my brain was just fried, but I just loved what I saw, and I could see the end. The end was nigh, and at this point I wasn't working on this project every day. I was working on it maybe every 3 to 4 or 5 days because I still have a day job. Okay, then I made her braids and I tried to animate it, which wasn't fun. I tried to, goddamn, the memories, the PTSD. So I just joined all the hair in one layer and just called it a day. I could not be bothered. I went in and I tweaked the mountains a little bit. I watched so many mountain tutorials, but this was the main one that made me nail it down and get it to a point where I really liked, where I could have each of the colors affect, I guess, the scaling or texturing or whatever of the mountain. I don't know, I just followed it and I liked the way it looked. And I added displacement, which gave it that bumpy texture I was looking for, which, yes, because mountains aren't like smooth jello or whatever. I also add displacement to the road, and it gave, because of the toon styling, it gave it this stripy effect, like you're speeding down a road. That was an accident, but it's like Bob Ross says, who I've never watched a tutorial for except through Jazza, there are no mistakes, only happy accidents. But then came my nightmare. the road wall, the thing that made me wanna, well, it did, I actually did rip out a huge chunk of my hair. Cloth sim. I could not get the cloth simulation or the hair simulation or anything to work, and I spent a week on this. I even gave up the hair, but I kept trying to get the clothes or the pants or something to work. Like, it just wouldn't work, and I just just remembering it sends me into a fury because it was just not working. And I said, okay, fine, you win, haha, you thought. I came back and I conquered. I had a little bit of a trickery, a misdirection, a sleight of hand, a little Houdini for the cloth sim to get it to work. But at this point I was just not happy with the character, and then the constant failure of not getting the cloth sim to work, and then having to ditch hair simulation. And I just said, okay, I'm gonna just do something else. And I focused on like nailing down the colors of the character, because I didn't give her the toon type of styling, and I ranted in the forum for a little bit. So I got her colors down, I really liked it, and I said, okay, just do something to distract yourself. I wanted to go and do another project, but there was no time. Now all the colors that would be in this scene are in this scene, and I said, okay, this is it, I'm calling it for today. We will come back to this. And the animation was still looking kind of cluttered, but I said, you know what, we take the little victories that we have. So I don't have a line art at this point, as you can tell. That's when I followed this tutorial and I got this effect, and I was so happy because it was just a win. After like days and days and days of losses, I finally got a win. But my celebration was hella short-lived, as I hit render and now my trees aren't working. I don't know if it's because I have two grease pencil layers. I don't know why it was clipping, but sometimes if I rendered, the trees would be fine. Sometimes if I did, they wouldn't be. I told you it was like the clip start of the camera, but I was too afraid to touch the camera at this point after the camera shake thing, so I said no. I just decided, hey, maybe if I'm lucky in my final render, the trees will work. Onwards! I fixed the background some more. I kind of tried to nail down that sunsetty feel, and I really liked it. I went in again and tried to fix the character animation because it was just so janky and everything was just so cluttered, and then I hated it. I didn't realize how much I didn't like it or how much it was bothering me, and it's at this point in the process that something was just missing and I couldn't nail it down. I couldn't figure out what it was, and it was driving me insane. And I just kept feeling like at this point this whole project is me fixing problems that I unintendedly created, or I just don't know, and I'm just not happy with a lot of things at this point. Even though I was happy to have line art, the blackness kind of ate into the character, and having line art on like the little glow particle effect that I have coming out of the board, it just didn't work. But I really wanted to have that line art effect, that anime kind of style effect. So I just said, you know what, we just keep tweaking. I got rid of the jacket because it was just giving me too many grievances. I got a lot of helpful advice, but I think the advice came at the wrong time, because I was told, yeah, your character doesn't stand out, and I just interpreted it as eat fucking shit, your render is garbage. It's called ADHD aggression or something, where when people give you constructive criticism, your brain goes like it's a personal attack. But thank God I can't even speak right now. I'm confusing the words aware and able. I'm able and aware to register it. So I thought, okay, my character doesn't stand out. That's a big problem. And they're kind of right, because I went all out for the background, and the character has like black on a pastel background. Of course, your eyes will be focused to the light colors and not the dark void. So I went in and I tweaked the colors a little bit, and oh my God, did I just model a character after the bisexual flag? God damn it, not again.
Wow. If I had a nickel for every time I
made a character out of the color scheme of the bisexual flag,
I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, right?
So at this point, I turned off the grease pencil layer, and I went in and just tried to nail down the motion blur and depth of field. Maybe that will work. And that whole day was regrets. That entire day, render after render after render after still frame, nothing was working, and my mental health was taking a beating, till the point that I just said, you know what, I'm gonna take everything out. No more motion blur, no more depth of field. I can do all of that in Premiere Pro. The line arts, I think I even still had the line arts on, because I try to color things individually, like, you know, Disney movies and some animes where the line art color, well, not animes, mostly old Disney movies, the line art color is the same color as the thing under it. So like the skin line art is brown, and maybe if you have a pink or purple top, the line art will be purple, and your hair and everything. So I was going for that. Then I said, okay, fine, if she doesn't stand out, I'm gonna light this bitch up like a Christmas tree. And I put lights everywhere around her just to make her stand out and everything. Then I thought, okay, I was given an advice to put fog. And I said, yeah, if there's a fog and the further away an object is, the background will get blurry and you have to focus on my main character. So it was just that trail of mindset. It's just like out of spite at this point. I said, you know what? After all the pain and anguish, I am not gonna quit, because I was going to quit again. The line art, the fog, because the grease pencil trees were peeking through the fog, the motion blur, the depth of field, everything just got to me, and I said, I want to drop everything. But then the fire kicked in, the spite, the sheer willpower to drag this fucking render across the finish line, because I spent way too much time on this to quit at this point. And yes, this is me just fighting with me at this point. So again, took out everything, and I just said, okay, what is bothering me the most? Character animation, because everything else was just kind of like a distraction from the main thing. So I sat down and I rendered again and again and again and again till I got everything to an okay kind of point, to a point where I'm decently happy with the results. Now that I like the animation, because I finally learned how to render the viewport, so I could just hide everything and just render my character from the viewport to just see everything more clearly. Now it's a situation of, okay, how do I make all these elements come together? Because everything is clashing, and adding the fog cancelled the grease pencil line art layer. And it was at this point that I said, okay, fine, the layer was already making my trees clip, we're just gonna get rid of it. It was a lot. But I said, okay, just if it's not working, get rid of it. You don't have to force it. Then I realized, oh, there is another way of doing line art. The solidify layer method, this tutorial. Basically, you add a solidify layer, you kind of invert it and add whatever color you want to the mesh. And it was like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to do this for each individual object. And by this point, there was only 2 days left. I wasn't even sure if I could make it, but I sat down and I added this thing to all the meshes. Like the solidify layer kind of fucked things around. I had to redo some modeling, some places that weren't optimized or just I had just ignored. So I did all of that and it just clicked. I was able to color the skin layer and the shirt layers and the board and everything. I don't even think you can see it through all the movement, but I was really happy with where I was. And the problem now is, remember when I said I kind of did a little trickery Houdini for the shirt? I have a cloth sim on one iteration or version of the jacket, and the other version of the jacket is just a static image. So I cropped the jacket after the armpits so it looks like the jacket is flapping behind it. Yeah, so it works without line art, but when I put line art you can see the outline of the static shirt where I went in and hid some. I just turned the transparency down and you can't see it. Even the main model, I hid some parts of her body so it wouldn't be clipping through her clothes. So when the line art was added in, you could see that trickery, so I just went in and deleted it, but after saving a separate mesh just in case something went wrong. And I hit render to see what everything was looking like, and I loved it. I loved it. It was exactly what I saw in my head, and I was just so happy that I stuck through it. And I said, okay, fine, the challenge is literally ending in like 24 hours. I can just export this to Premiere Pro and get it done, but a new episode of Hell of a Boss dropped, so I put everything on pause and I went and live streamed it on my channel. I'm sorry, my main channel, not this one.
He's gonna hit him. Oh, fuck, I knew it! God, damn it!
And I'm sorry, priorities. Came back the next day. I added a little bit of pizzazz to the final thing, a little bit of razzle dazzle, just like tubes coming up, going to the hand and dragging you down, just to create a bit of oomph, a bit of movement, to just make the scene cohesive, god damn it. Also, I love the fact that now you can finally see the lamps at the bottom of the hoverboard that have been there the entire time, mind you. The only other time you could see the lights was in the cave, but thanks to the fog you can see it now and everything is coming together. I'm winning. And I did a render of 30 samples and a render of 300 samples because this whole time I was rendering on 30 samples in Eevee. God bless. And I couldn't see a difference until somebody in the discussions tabs had to zoom into her shoes and said on the 300 sample image that the shoe reflection was better. So if you have to zoom that deep to see a difference, I'm good because this thing is moving. So I just bumped it up to 50 samples and called it a day. I did one final viewport render with the background hidden just to really know if I am going to render this thing. This is the final line. There's like 12 hours left and it's already nighttime. And I said, okay, this is it. And I hit render. And the power went out because I live in a third world country and I was already halfway through the render and I wasn't sure if everything would even finish rendering and if I would make it in time. I was panicking and stressed, but the power came back on and the render continued from where it stopped because I wasn't rendering in PNG, I was rendering video because apparently just the extra effort to import all the still images was too much of a hassle for me. I bumped up all the settings, perceptually lossless, full clarity, everything, and I got it out and I dragged it to Premiere Pro. It was already 9 or 10 in the night and the challenge would end at 8 a.m. my time and I knew I wasn't going to be able to wake up in time, so I really had to finish it that night. So I dragged it into Premiere Pro and I thought, let's kind of add a little pizzazz to this. I grabbed some audio files, I did a little bit of voice acting, some sound effects, everything, just threw it out there. I'm not a sound engineer, so go easy on me, but I really liked what I got at the end of the day, even though I don't need to do it because no sound I put in is gonna make it into the final render, but it was for me, okay? So I did all of that and then I remembered I felt like the colors were a little washed out, but I suck at color correction. I'm basically colorblind. Have you seen this my render? It's an eyesore. So I just added, I think, gamma or something, and it kind of brought everything down. It was no longer washed out or white, like the colors were deeper, which it really didn't need to be, and like I think the darks were darker, and I just called it a day. I said, okay, thank you, next. The only other thing, one thing that was bothering me was the little rocks I put on the ground, because a lot of other people's renders had this kind of, again, I think it's called parallax effect, where things are coming in through the front of the camera, maybe kind of obscuring the character and just kind of creating this depth of field, this deep and richness in the scene. So I put a bunch of rocks and I kind of messed around with them a bunch till the very end. If you've noticed, like a few renders back, they all were the same size and rotation, but I changed that. But now I wasn't kind of sure and I said, maybe I go back and I re-render and take the rocks out, but then the road would look so flat, but then I still have that stripy effect. But I said, no, this is the render, we are not going back, because if I allowed myself to go back, who knows what else I'll go back on. I loved it. I left the rocks in. I maxed out the character and followed it. I added motion blur, Gaussian blur, whatever I could think of to make it like the motion blur is for speed lines and the Gaussian blur is to just have the character be centered. Finally, my 7 years of editing comes in handy for once, where I know what the fuck I'm doing, except for color correction. I did all of that and boom, this is it. This is what all that work culminated in. I present to you Off Balance, my Endless Engine submission. Whoa. All that work for just this little time of reward. I feel like a disgruntled bride on her wedding night, but everything was made literally from scratch. The only thing I didn't make, I forgot to mention this, is the base mesh. It's from Brand Sculpts, it's free, but aside from that, I made every other thing else in this entire render. Well, could you even say I made it? I follow tutorials. God damn it, this video is 30 minutes long again. I thought I could make it short and sweet this time. But this was my render. This was fun. There were so many submissions, so many amazing submissions. I made so many wonderful friends during this entire project, and I'm just so happy. I'm happy. After all this madness, I came out the other end feeling joy. Can you believe it? All that stress, all that anxiety, and this is what it culminated in. And I just have to thank Clint, even though he was personally responsible for all the pain and anguish I felt for the last month and a week. I still appreciate the fact that he did this. He brought people together. He made people push themselves to their limit, and it was just a fun overall experience where now I can take what I learned in character animation and go and finish my Raven twerking video. It's a win-win-win. So many tutorials, so many people, so many advice, so many things just helped me reach this point, and I'm just happy that I'm a better 3D artist because of it. I said I wasn't gonna get mushy this time around, but this was an experience, and I really do hope more people join in, because a lot of people kind of quit along the way, and I feel it's better to just drag yourself across this finish line. Use whatever you need to use. Spite, happiness, joy, anticipation, the prize pool. I'm not even looking at the prize pool. Have you seen the other renders in this challenge? I have no high hope in hell, but I'm ecstatic with what I was able to make. Me, who had no knowledge or formal training or anything in 3D animation. I have a degree in software engineering, and I didn't even work this hard on my final year project, which was a menstrual tracking app, by the way. I did it so my professors wouldn't ask questions because they were embarrassed. It worked. I didn't work as hard as that on this, and I had half the time. It's insane what you can put your mind through when you're interested and invested and you're just given the opportunity, because it's not like if I don't win this challenge, my life is over. What I got from this challenge was the knowledge and the things I learned, and I felt that's much more impactful. Education is a scam. You study that one because you spent money, but in this challenge I lose nothing. I willingly participated, and if I didn't win, that's on me. I don't understand why some people take it so personally. You should be happy from what you learned, but I guess some people just want the prize and that's all they are. But hell, whatever motivates you. I'm not here to judge. I'm here to tell you the hell I went through because of this man. But I'm happy because I was able to become better. I'm rambling at this point. But let me know in the comment section down below. Link me your own renders. How was your experience with this challenge? Do you have no idea what I'm talking about and you just watched a 30+ minute video of a person talking about something for no reason whatsoever? I appreciate that. You're a real one. Thank you for the watch time. But that's where I'm gonna stop this video. I'm already tired just reliving the mental anguish, the flashback, the PTSD. Oh my god. But looking at the final render, it was all worth it. I really liked it, and I'm happy. I can't stop saying it. I'm happy and I'm glad for the experience I was given. But yeah, that's where this video ends. Thank you for watching. Bye. Don't expect things on this channel. This is my second channel. That if you want to watch me, I'm on my main channel, but this is where I'm gonna dump weird things from now on, weird 3D things, so you can subscribe if you want that, but don't get your hopes up. Yeah, thanks. Bye. Whoa.